Hi, everyone. Can we start by giving our speaker, Michele Ohmes, a warm welcome?
Oh, you haven't heard me yet. Yay! That's for her. Give her a warm welcome. She puts up with me.
All right, so a little bit about Michele. She's an author, trainer, consultant, and motivational speaker who refers to herself as the wild, wacky woman of Wheelchair Lane with her boss, Sufra. She has helped educate and communicate with the public throughout the United States about how to comply with the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, using common sense with inexpensive solutions to accessibility.
Is that good? Okay, now, I'm always embarrassed when people go through all this. I'm thinking, I don't care what I've done. If I don't keep you awake, I've failed, right? So we got to keep you awake today. First thing I have to say to you all, though, I love going to the schools. You're our future. You're my future. I'm 74 going downhill at this point. But still, you're the ones that are going to be doctors, lawyers, inventors. In fact, I'm still waiting for one invention. And whoever wants to be an inventor here, I've got throwing out my challenge. My chair does 1,000 different things, and I'll sort of show you some of them. In fact, Mrs. Weimers is going to come over here. But there's one thing it doesn't do. When I stop, and I live in pain 24 hours a day, I would love to have my chair be able to rock, because that would keep the oxygen flowing, it would keep the pressure off the same muscle, it would move that, and it would keep me relaxed and help with the pain. Nobody's invented that yet. I'm throwing the challenge out to students in this room. Some of you might be able to do that, okay? But here's some of the stuff my chair does do. The first thing is when I'm on a level plane with people, and they're all, here I can see you all out, I raise my chair up. And I look out and I look at the back and I say, and you thought you could hide. Now, how high am I? I think it stopped. Now, if Mrs. Weimers can come over here, see where we are now? I'm practically eye level. The other chair I had actually went higher. And I'm telling you, I'd start thinking it's going to break and I'm going to go down. But so this is one of the things my chair does. And see, I can almost reach her eyes. Then we go down. And the inventors, by the way, does anybody have a guess what this chair would cost? I have a minivan out there that was it was almost 70,000. What do you think this chair cost? Am I going down or am I staying up? Now I'm going down. This one has the button is opposite of all the other buttons. And when you're someone like me who's a scatterbrain, it's like, get it straight. Is it going? Doesn't feel like, yeah, it's moving. Finally. I didn't want to be up here because when I'm up high, it goes very slow. Then, of course, it takes me back. Here, I should do this. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. She's so used to me being crazy. Okay. Can you see what I'm doing here? This is for the dentist office. So I don't use this one very often. Then I have one that just lays the chair back. And I got a great story to tell you about this. I've got this, and this will go all the way flat, and I'm not going to take the time to do that. And then the feet go out. Are they going out? Good. So I was in Washington, D.C., and I served on the United States Access Board's public rights-of-way, designing for streets and sidewalks and curb ramps. So we would get there early on Monday, or usually Sunday night, be there from Monday through Friday, and leave late on Friday night. Now, Washington, D.C., now, as you can see, I'm starting to lay back. And what I ended up doing is going, and she's saying, Mom, you don't do this very often. What are you doing? It's okay. You can go down. I ended up laying completely flat, but I was in D.C., and a tornado came through. And there's two major airports, Dulles and Reagan, and I'll be honest, I don't remember which one I was at, because I would just take whatever the plane was taking me to. And the tornado actually clipped the control tower of the opposite airport. So, of course, they shut down both airports. 9:30 at night, and they're shutting down the airports. You know everybody wants to go home. So the last thing they want to do is have to sit there and wait in an airport. So with all the flights being stopped, we are just filled, wall to wall. I take my, and I had my bigger Vizsla. And I think there's one picture in here that you'll be able to see my Vizsla. By the way, I rescued both of my dogs and then trained them. So anyhow, my Vizsla would lay on me all the time. I've got so many pictures of her being on my lap. If I was doing a presentation and she was here, she'd be on my lap by now, okay? But anyhow, I go out flat, completely flat out. Maddie jumps up on top of me and stretches out across me with her head on my shoulder. You should have heard the people. Before, they were feeling sorry for this lady in a wheelchair. Not anymore. They're saying, she's got a bed. Look what her and her dog are doing, and we have to sit in these ugly chairs. And I was hearing all this, and it took everything I had not to crack up. But being a wheelchair user has its benefits. How many in this room can guarantee a seat in the house wherever they go? I can. I've got my chair. Nobody's going to take my seat away. How many of you could run a 2-mile race in 130-degree weather and not sweat? I can. My finger and my thumb might be a little sweaty, but that's it. And I won't even be exhausted. Okay? So when you see people with disabilities, just keep remembering, and that's always as bad as you think. And there are extremely severe. I have so many things wrong with me, it's like a laundry list. You know what? Something's still wrong. I'm not where I belong. Okay, let's put this back. There. Okay. If the chair isn't in the right position, it won't let me go as fast as I want to go. So anyhow, I have so many things wrong with me, but you can't see them. And so what I'm going to ask all of you, by the way, can you all quickly, hustle with the bustle, stand up. By the way, I make everybody work. Nobody sits around and I'm doing the work. I'm just not that kind of person. Ooh, those lights. Now, you don't hear this very often, all righty? But for my first question, you can cheat. Do you mind? Mrs. Wiemers is the principal, and she's going to say she's allowing them to cheat.
You can cheat.
Okay, thank you.
Just on this.
I'm going to ask that anybody that doesn't mind, now notice that word, doesn't mind admitting you have a disability, please be seated if you have a disability. But if you don't want to show it, you can cheat later on and just sit down some other time. Okay, we've got a few of you sitting. I think we do. These lights are just killing me. Okay, we'll go to the next question quickly. Anybody who has a family member with disabilities, that could be heart problems, cancer. Look at how many are being seated. Holy mackerel. All right, I just about cleared the place. Okay, wait a minute. I'm on a time limit, so don't talk too much now. Okay, anybody with friends with disabilities, please be seated. That should have been my last question. You know why I say that? If you're still standing, you don't have any friends. Okay, now, my next question. All of you, raise your hands. You thought you were going to have an easy time of this. Come on, both hands. Now, wait. They got me on a timer, so I'm going to be real rude and ask you to be quiet. Now, anybody that can use both hands equally well. Oh, I like that. There we go. We got it made. Okay, the wave. If you are ambidextrous and you can use both hands equally, keep them in the air. The rest of you put your hands down. Oh, are you serious? Now, are they serious? They can use both hands equally? You can write with your left and right hand? You can do everything with your left and right hand equally? Okay, only one person in this room is saying that. Guess what? You got two. Oh my gosh, there's that light in my eyes. Guess what? The rest of you are all disabled because one of your hands doesn't work as well as the other. So, just thought I'd tell you that in case you didn't know it. But anyway, did you notice what color I'm wearing? Did you notice what color she's wearing? Okay, now, Mrs. Wiemers, please. We're having a contest, and I think she won, and I'm not happy about that. I came here a few weeks ago to just see the school and talk about things, and she had cowboy boots on. I love cowboy boots. And I said, oh, let me wear them when I come. So I was going to show her that my cowboy boots were prettier than hers. But they're not. Hers are prettier than mine. But I wore cowboy boots because I thought, the principal can do it, I can do it, right? Okay, well, and we won't make you vote because if you didn't vote for her, you'd be in trouble. Big trouble. I want you to see this. Those are 3 square blocks of wood, right? And you think, okay, fine. They're just sitting there. Nothing's going to be great about that. And this is a carpenter. I mean, I'm calling him a carpenter, a wood carver. Wood carver's the word I want. And let's go to the next slide. Now, that's the blocks, and this is what he ended up doing. Now, go to the next slide. Does that not look like that corrugated box with real money in it? That came from those 3 blocks of wood. That's called ability in disguise. And that's what all your lives are. Even though I'm talking about disabilities, every last one of you have ability maybe that you haven't even found out about. So don't ever let anyone tell you you can't. Because you have ability, and very often it's disguised. But as you develop, as you grow, as you get, I've had so many careers. I'm a certified personnel consultant. I'm a certified respiratory therapist. I'm a certified hospital chaplain. I've got some other certifications. Oh, I'm a certified Home Builders Association ADA coordinator. I don't even know what it is because I keep doing all these things because I learn, ooh, I like this, and ooh, I like that, so I get out and do it. So again, believe in yourself, not just the This is something that's really important. And in fact, I always have my service dog match me. It costs a little bit more money to do this, but one of the reasons I do it is I'll be going down the street and people will sort of see me. And by the way, I always have this silly grin on my face and I smile at everybody. I'm half country and half city. And I'll tell you what, if I could be all country, I'd be thrilled. 90% of my cousins are all country. How many people here would call themselves country? Yeah. Not many, but I expected you all to raise your hands. You're disappointing me here, okay? But anyway, so when I'm going down the street, I'm smiling at everybody. I don't care when I was in New York City or when I was in Canada. I don't care where I am. I just smile. And, you know, when you're an idiot, you don't know any better. But they'll be first looking at me, and you can see that look, oh, there, but for the grace of God go I. And then I give them this silly smile and say, good morning. And then they see my dog matching whatever I'm wearing, and the smiles come out, and they think, well, she's happy. Of course I'm happy. I get the first seat in the house. I'm always guaranteed the seat. I told you how I can outrun you and never break a sweat. I have a lot of good things that are happening. And there's no way that I'm going to sit here and let this wheelchair make me feel like, oh, how terrible. The wheelchair is nothing. It's the 24 hours of pain that I live in that sometimes does get me down, because sometimes it's as bad as hitting your crazy bone throughout my whole body. And then other times it's just aggravating pain, like right now. But the point of it is I have a choice, and all of us have a choice. It's our attitude that will make or break us. If you think you can't, guess what? You can't. If you think you can, and you will. So that's important. And those of us with disabilities, it's the same thing. But empathy, now here's what's important. Empathy encourages because it sees the need. Look at the stuff on my chair that I was showing, and I've got other stuff I can do. I have lights on my chair. I have signals. I have an emergency light on my chair. Is it flashing? Do you see it flashing in the front and on the back? Okay, I mean, you just name it. I've got it. And people see the need. You know, necessity is the mother of invention. Well, that's what empathy is. These cantilevered wheels keep a racer from flipping over, or basketball players from flipping over, although they do. They get really rough in basketball. That man is blind, and so they designed a climbing wall like a clock, and he uses the numbers to guide him for where the next handhold is. That's empathy. Now, here again, they've got these wonderful beach chairs with the special wheels so that you can go on the beach. The second person there's blind in the tandem, but they're racing, and they win races. This woman, they used to have other kind of prosthesis, but they invented the spring. And many of the people are double amputees, and they have springs on both of their stump or the rest of their leg. And I mean, you ought to see them run. And then over here, the reason I'm showing you this is so often in emergencies, police officers, fire departments, especially, and even other situations, and then a lot of times just regular places like stores get these charts. So if somebody is deaf or have speech impairments or just even serious hearing impairments, they can use the pictures to point to. So firefighters usually have pictures related to medical situations. Police departments will have medical, but they'll also have criminal kind of things. How did they hit you? Some may be descriptive kinds of things, like different sizes and mustaches and ethnic backgrounds to point out, to see if the person can point out what kind of person attacked them. But there again, it's another way of solving the problem and breaking down the barrier or the handicap for that disability. Let's keep going. This is something that John Wooten had. Does anybody know who John Wooten is? The famous basketball coach. I forgot how many games he won before their team ever lost from UCLA. Look at this guy who's no arms. I had a guy work for me, and his computer was on the floor. He drove with his feet. He did everything with his feet. He used my computer with his feet, everything. And he was just as good an employee as anybody else could be. This is Doug Blevins. This is not that long ago. For 6 years, he was, and I think, go ahead and go to the next slide even. He was the kicking coach, and he has CP. He's never been a non-wheelchair user. From the day he's born, he's been, so to speak, not able to walk, okay? But yet, oh no, it didn't go to the next. Did we pass him up? Maybe he's later on. Okay, go ahead. We'll go to this. But anyway, that coach, never having kicked a football in his life, had the ability in his mind to know what it would take to kick one, what the body had to do, what the person had to go through to do it. I'd love to see all of you. Every time I move, though, those lights really get me. So forgive me for not getting to all sides, because you're all important. This young man has died, but at the age of 17, he was already a HBO documentary person, and according to Sam, and the disease he had caused extreme premature. Okay, and you can see how old he looks, and he's only 17 years old. Let's go to the next one. He was supposed to, a day before he was supposed to be honorary captain for the Patriots, he died. This is him with the marching band. Okay, now look what it says. He only weighed 50 pounds. The drum harness that the others are wearing weighed 40 pounds. But what did they do? They came up with a harness, and they should use this for everybody, that only weighed 6 pounds, and he was part of that marching band. Regardless what was going on, the people around him accepted his ability, and he made sure to live up to his ability. Keep remembering that, ability in disguise. This is a senator, present senator from Hawaii, who has cancer. And for a very important vote, even though she was in Hawaii getting chemo treatment, she got back to the States and got her vote in, and then ran back to, or flew back to Hawaii. But she is right. We are only one diagnosis from a serious illness. How many people know who Lou Gehrig is? These are older. Oh, great. He ended up, in fact, they call it Lou Gehrig's disease. But actually, it's amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS. And he was a famous baseball player, and yet he had to quit because of that. And so even then, he talked about what a great life he had. Let's go to the next one. My saying to people is, you are only 1 second away from an accident that can give you a disability. And I was working at a place, I was helping this company, training them like for 3 days about all the things about hiring and all the different stuff and so forth. So I came there on Thursday, was training Thursday and Friday, and then I was coming back on Monday. And I told them, they had about 300 people I was training, and I said, okay, with 300 of you, now this is terrible, but this is the truth. Within a year, at least 2 to 3 of you are going to have some kind of a disability. It might be very minor, and it could be very serious. I come back on Monday, and the owner of the company calls me in and says, you got to come in here real quick. And he said, who made you a prophet? And I said, nobody. He says, well, don't prophesize anymore. And I thought, oh my God, I'm in trouble. What did I do? Friday evening, the one person had a serious heart attack, was on a ventilator, and they didn't know if he was going to live. Another person had renal failure. You can tell I'm tired. And he was in the hospital on dialysis and everything else, and they didn't know what his prognosis was going to be. And a third person had a severe accident and was paralyzed from the neck down in the hospital. 3 in 1 weekend. You don't think I didn't feel bad. But it's not a joke. And the minute you sit there and think it can't happen, it can. Now, am I here to scare you? No, 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 no. I'm here to tell you, regardless what happens, look at Christopher Reeves, Superman. Did he stop living? Absolutely not. He lived a full life afterwards. And he went around doing motivational training. And these other people, Joe Campanella there was a famous catcher, and I mean, he was really well known. And he ended up in a car accident and was a quadriplegic, but he kept coaching. Don't ever give up. You've always got an ability in disguise. There's the coach I was telling you about. There's one of his players thanking him because he made great kickers out of the people he was training because he saw things other coaches couldn't see. Let's keep going because I got to be careful. Notice that. We're able to do anything. And you can just look at these pictures real quick. These wonderful people. That person is blind playing volleyball, by the way. Empathy sees the need. We have these wonderful golf carts now. Now, the Golf Association and a lot of people are trying to fight the fact that the person could stay in the cart, it turns around, and he's a wheelchair user, but he's able to go ahead and play golf. Now, that's called empathy seeing the need and providing it. Okay, there is Stephen Hawkins. He is also somebody that has ALS. And he can't speak well or anything, and that's his speech machine in front of him. It looks like a laptop. And he's considered the smartest man in the world as of today. How many of you knew that Harry Potter had a disability? And whoops, I see a few hands. Thank you. Somebody knows. Great. His is an unseen disability. You don't see it. You don't know it. And I've had a lot of people complain. They parked in the disabled spot, and they're not disabled. You'd be surprised how many disabilities you don't see. How do you treat a person with a disability? Oh, you're sleeping. Come on. I don't want to go back and say that this high school falls asleep. What does it say? One more level higher. All right. You're yelling at me. I love it. Keep going. Now, how do you assist a person with a disability? Now, I got to tell you something. I tell people this, and I really mean it. If you become disabled later on in life or whatever, if you were a jerk before, you're still a jerk afterwards a lot of times. Don't think because we're disabled, we suddenly become nice. You have no idea how I have to sit people down with disabilities and say, why did you yell at that person? People will want to pet the service dog, and they say, you can't pet that dog. Don't you know it's a service dog? And I'm thinking, did you have to be nasty? And I tell them it's a teachable moment, and especially when children want to pet them. And, of course, nobody up here got to pet her, did you? Nobody up here got to pet her. We won't tell them that I let you pet her. But the point of it is, I tell the people, this is a teachable moment. You explain, well, no, I can't let you pet my dog because, and explain what the dog does for you. But no, they got to go and yell and scream. Sometimes, especially people in manual chairs, they get to the door and somebody says, oh, let me help you. And they jump back at it and says, I can do it myself. I'm sorry. When somebody wants to help me, I say, yes, please, thank you. How kind you are. But if anybody ever does that, don't think the rest of us are going to yell and scream at you. That's just their personality. Has usually, unless they've had a stroke or something, it doesn't affect them. Am I running late?
Well, we're ready for some questions and answers.
Let's go fast. Okay, let's go real fast. Fast. Okay, let's keep going. That makes a handicap. I've told you that. We're not this. Okay, keep going. We're not on a pedestal just because we keep living. I can drive people crazy. Don't put me on a pedestal. Keep going as fast as you can. Keep clicking. There we go. We go to prison. You should see me talk to law enforcement. I teach them how I can hurt them with my wheelchair. That's me. Oh, go back real fast. We got to go back. The only one on this picture is my skydiving. I was only using crutches then. But I did all these other things. And the chief of the Pueblo that I was up there, there's my other service dog that I had. He was taking pictures of me all over the place and saying, you are going to be on our national newspaper because we've never seen anyone so brave as to come up to the top like this because I couldn't go in their bus. I had to bring my own vehicle up and come up there. I said, brave? I'm nosy. My cousins were going to come up here and see all this, and I wasn't. Not a brave bone in my body. I'm just nosy, and I want to see everything. Keep going fast. We're coming to the magic trick. What?
Well, our kids have a couple of questions to ask you.
Oh, good.
So our first question is having ADHD, anxiety, bipolar, and onset autism considered a disability?
Yes. But the problem is that a lot of people look at it as a hopeless disability. The minute we start talking things that are related to mental, people right away just say, oh, we can't do anything about it. And there's wonderful things that can be done. There are certain medications that can help, although some people get over-medicated. But did you mention bipolar?
Yes.
President Lincoln, and keep going, there's another picture that'll show a bunch of people up there. President Lincoln had severe depression. Now they're diagnosing it that was probably bipolar, okay? And there's so many, and the autism, there have been very famous people in the past that weren't that approachable. And they thought, oh, they're just rude or they're mean or this or that. No, it was an autism thing. Whatever you do, there's a wonderful brand new show on ABC called The Good Doctor. Have you seen it? Just started a week or two ago. Watch it. This man is a young man, but he's a surgeon, and he sees things that nobody else sees. And he is autistic. And you get to see the struggle that he goes through with his autism and the social life and the other things that you have to deal with, and yet he's a master surgeon. So, yes, they're disabilities.
Another question is, how many service dogs have you had?
2. And I rescued both of them. My first one was a Vizsla. She came from Utah to Kansas City sight unseen. I trained her myself. Unbelievable. She took care of me. And if I weren't running out of time, I'd tell you a story. This one I rescued, she was 13 months old. I lost my first one to cancer after 12 years. She was 13 and a half at the time, though. And this little one is now 4 years old, and I'm 74, so we use the last number to keep up.
What are the different purposes for service dogs?
Endless. In fact, this one I just met at the library, she used to have one because she had severe epilepsy, or seizures. She didn't have epilepsy, she had seizures, and now through medication, she doesn't have them. The dogs can sense your seizure and let you know you got to sit down. Diabetes, they can sense that your insulin is out of place, and they will let you know. And they have different ways of, a lot of times they'll lick your hand, or they'll have a certain sign to let you know. Panic attacks, so many of our soldiers, and the ADA actually had to update itself to make sure that PTSD is covered as a disability. And these soldiers will tell you, in fact, there was this wonderful interview, and the soldier started talking about some of his experiences, and the next thing you know, the dog gets up and comes real close to him, gets practically, the whole front of the body is right here. The dog could sense that the man was going into one of his attacks. They're wonderful. So they help a lot of people who have panic attacks.
And that's a great lead-in for our last question here before your magic trick. Why does it appear that some non-disabled people get disability checks?
Ah, beautiful. And basically what I said before is the reason. There are all kinds of disabilities you don't see. I have people complain like crazy. They parked in the accessible parking spot, and believe me, I need those spots, and they're not disabled. You have no idea. They could have severe heart problems. They could have severe COPD, which I use a respiratory therapist. That means something's wrong with your lungs, and they've got to get in quickly. They could have severe allergies, and they've got to get inside from outside. So don't assume they don't have a disability. And if they have those disabilities and it affects their ability to work, they can get a disability check. I'm glad we got that question. Any others?
That's all that were given to me. I want you to know before Michele concludes that she gave me a whole bunch of her business cards right here in my pocket. So I'll be around giving those to you, and she invites you to contact her directly with questions.
Absolutely. And not only that, am I going to have lunch here? Am I right?
She's going to have lunch
Anyone
here,
that wants to come up and get a hug from me at lunchtime, I give out hugs all the time. I don't shake hands, as long as we don't. And now here, Mrs. Weber, I need you to say something here.
Yes.
I don't want to cause havoc at the lunchtime. So if I said something I shouldn't have now, let them know. Don't do it or not.
She did just fine.
Is that okay? Because I don't want to mess things up. No. This is your principal, and where are your teachers?
Teachers, will you stand, please?
They can stay now. No, you can stand in a few
don't
moments.
Stand.
It's my fault. I just want to be sure you were here. Okay, there's that. Let's keep going. What's the next one? Go back. Okay, we're going to do a magic trick.
Okay.
Now I'm going to hold this.
You want me to hold your microphone?
No, I'm going to have to go ahead. She's going to pull out a scarf.
Okay.
There's one. Why don't we put that on my lap at the moment?
Okay.
She's going to get another one. Okay, keep going. This is endless. Okay, I think there's one more. Okay. Oops. There we go. Let's put that there. It almost looks purple in the lights. Okay, now, can you unzip that, please? Go ahead and put your hand through. I've got her captured, kids. What do you want me to do? She's captured. Okay.
Don't
There's
get any big
nothing in there.
ideas.
Can you zip that up again, please? Okay, now we're going to go ahead and one by one. Let's do the yellow one first. Okay? And she's going to put it on the floor here. Wait a minute. I got to get over here where Sue can work. You're going to see my dog work. So look, she knows what's going on. Go ahead and put it down on the floor. Bring it up here, sweetheart. Whoops, where is it? Oh, bring it up to me. She's letting me down. Come on. She's, Mom, I've done this so many times. Come on up here. Jackrabbits and snails. You're in trouble. Come on, pick that up and bring it to Mama. Come on, bring it up here. There. She's about to lose a tooth or something here. Okay, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't do what I'm... See, she got me flustered. Yellow. I am so impressed with your principal that I'm saying that this color stands for her. Do you guys agree with that? Give her an applause. All right. Let's get it. Okay, pick it up. Now bring it all the way up here. Good, good. She's going, eh. This is green. Teachers, please stand up. Teachers, I can't see you. Come on, all of the teachers, quickly. Green stands for your teachers. Their teachers are giving you the green light to grow and to learn and make your future beautiful. And those teachers, you can't do without them. Let's give them an applause. Thank you, teachers. Now, this is crazy because I had a reason for the red one, but actually this is blue, even if it's coming up purple, which is just delightful. Okay? Go ahead, sweetheart. Pick it up for Mama. That's it. Come on up. Okay, sweetheart. She's tired. She's worn out, too. And I'm going to give you a treat in a little bit. The blue, by the way, I was having for you all because blue is a color that soaks in. And you should be soaking in all the knowledge and all the experience that you can right now for your future. Because those of you that are seniors are at the top right now. But next year, you're back at the bottom. But you know what's exciting about being back at the bottom? They really don't know you that well. Go ahead, sweetheart. You can go down. They don't know you that well. And so you can learn all kinds of things. You can find out all kinds of things. You can make all kinds of mistakes, and most people won't notice it. And then as you grow and you keep going up and up and up, you've got all that in the background. So don't feel bad when you start at the bottom again. It gives you another whole chance to learn. There we go with the red. Okay, sweetheart, go ahead and get it. Bring it up here. Thank you. The red was because I was going to tell you I'm red-faced because I didn't have a purple scarf. But your blue turned it to purple. So that just got wasted, and I won't give red any other conclusion other than that. Kids, let's go to the last. Well, we're almost at the last thing. I just have to tell you, being here is a privilege. A privilege. Because every one of you are going to be doing something great. And I don't care whether you're a truck driver, whether you pick up trash, and I know somebody's going to say, don't say that. Whether you get a degree, whether you become a doctor or whatever, as long as whatever you do, live your life fully and then some for good measure. My grandfather, farmer, we used to spend days shelling pecans and walnuts. And he had a quarter pound, a half pound, a pound, and a 2-pound bag. And we'd set them on the scale, and then we'd fill them up. As soon as we got to the measurement that it was supposed to be, and my grandpa had this giggle that I could still hear it to this day. He would take his hands and pick up another sort of a handful of whatever it was, the walnuts or the pecans. He'd giggle. I don't care if we did 50 or 100 bags that day. Put them in, and he'd look at me and he'd say, for good measure. So when you fed the full day, and then some for good measure, make sure you always add that good measure in your lives. I love you all. I thank you for being here. And if you have a question,